Good evening to everyone out there. This is the Rahim Show, and I'm your host, Ricky Ali. Welcome to another edition, an exciting night with the expert. So, I'm going to introduce our special guest, and then momentarily, I'm going to allow him to come in studio so that we can have a fruitful conversation. So, to our viewer out there, if you're watching the show via Facebook and YouTube, I want to say welcome. You might want to hit the like button, make some comment, and share the podcast. We highly appreciate that. So let me introduce our guest for tonight, as we don't have much time to spend here tonight. Just an hour of one-on-one conversation with the financial expert. Our guest tonight is Mr. Ase Kato. He's a financial expert, married, blessed with three beautiful kids, and he's also equipped with two masters, one in finance and another one in public policy. It tells you that we have an exciting financial discussion tonight. And then also, guess what? He's a vet. He served our country, and we want to salute to him for his service over that time that he served our country. So, well, folks, I want to welcome our guest in studio tonight. Let me just get him set up so that we can have a fruitful discussion. And guess what? He has been in the financial industry and investment for over 10 years. It tells you that he has a vast experience. So let me get him set up as we get ready to bring him live. So bear with me one moment as I get him set up. Well, folks, this is our special guest, Ase Kato. You are welcome to the Rahim Show, and we just want to hear you say something about yourself so that the viewer out there can get to know who you are and what you do. So, welcome.
Hey, Rahim, it's nice to be on your show. It's absolutely nice to be on your show, my friend. I
Yeah,
know we've been talking about this for a while and we're finally able to connect. So thanks for this platform. It's definitely good to be here. Yeah, and as a matter of fact, you mentioned being a vet, which is very important because Monday is Veterans Day.
wow.
As I'm sure you're very much quite aware of that. Monday is Veterans Day. You know, that's the day a lot of people just think it's just a holiday, but actually there's a lot behind that, especially for those who serve and those who are still serving. You
Yeah,
know, it is not. I mean, when I was doing it back then, from the age of 18 to 24, those like 6 years I did. You know, I just thought I was just doing something to get paid. And you know, this little kid, I came out as a refugee. He went into the military. He did his 6 years and he got out. Not realizing I mean, like the impact it was having on me at that time. And
okay.
now as an older person, as I sit and I reflect on those years, I'm definitely glad that I did so. Yeah. So to all the veterans out there that may be in your audience, shout out to my fellow brothers and sisters in arms. I'm wishing them all the best and happy Veterans Day to all of them.
Yeah,
And to those that are still serving, you know, your time will come and you'll reflect on this on your current time that you're doing now, and you'll realize
yeah,
it's definitely one of the best decisions you made. I know speaking for myself, it definitely is. Absolutely.
yeah, yeah. And I also want to tell you that I want to say congratulations for your service in our country. You've been in the military for that period of time, and then now you are a vet. And then happy Veteran Day in advance because you said Monday is obviously the Veteran Day. So
Mhm.
as we talk about this issue of financial financial literacy, right? Uh,
Mhm.
actually, let me ask a question. What action do you really think that makes financial literacy matter most?
Oh, it is absolutely it is absolutely critical, Raheem. And as you already know, most retirees now that they're asking, the number one issue that they're dealing with is they're concerned that once they're retired, they're not going to have enough to live on.
Yeah.
They're wondering, hey, is Social Security going to be enough to sustain me? I mean, am I going to run out of money? And all these other questions that they have. I mean, they have, but the unfortunate part about that is you don't want to be asking yourself these questions when you are in your 60s. You want to be asking yourself these questions, hopefully now that you're in your 30s, you're in your 40s. in your 20s, because this is one of the things I'm sure we're going to talk about. Like the earlier you start thinking about these things, the better it is for you, and absolutely for it, because the number one commodity or asset that we have, even though we're talking about money now, but the number one asset that we have when it comes to money, sure, it's not money itself, but it's time.
Yeah.
You could make more money, but you could never make more time.
It's unrefundable, because time is unrefundable. You cannot.
Exactly. And time, time is not like time is not like a finite asset. I mean, we will all one of these days run out of time. So the more time you have to invest, the more time you have to better yourself, the more time you have to become financially educated. Because it's not just about investing, even though we're going to talk about that. Yeah. But when I do these presentations, I really want to talk about financial education, because it goes a lot more than just investing, even though investing is the key part of that. But the more time you have to educate yourself financially and get that education under your belt, I mean, it is just invaluable. I mean, I'm not sure you could even quantify how important that is. Absolutely.
Yeah. You pointed out right. So as I prepare this particular segment of our discussion, the flyer that I posted, a lot of people do some question, and they send the question to me to ask, because in our country, a lot of people are into debt.
Oh, big time.
Big time. And because of those debt, it eat out some people income, and then you find out that people cannot really have much saving, and it affects them in the long run. So somebody raised a question and said, why does financial literacy matter? Why does this financial literacy that we want to talk about tonight, why does it really matter? So I want to know out there. So
absolutely. I mean, it matters a whole lot. I mean, it matters a whole lot, especially when you're talking about this. And then this goes back to like the issue of time again. If you become financially educated at a young age, it allows you to avoid some of these mistakes that we make, or that people make, that when they get in their upper years, they become a financial liability, sometimes on their children, sometimes on their family members. And it is really a very tough spot to be in. So if you become financially educated, you weapon yourself. I mean, you are weaponizing yourself to where no one could take advantage of you. We were just having, like a conversation earlier today about car payment and so forth. Yeah. And if people realize how much they were paying in interest rate, you would take that car back to the dealership tomorrow, because you think that dealer giving you an 11% interest is your friend. No, He is not. He is like, or she is not, because they have some females that are car dealers. Yeah, I mean, they're not doing you any favors. So if you're financially educated, you set yourself up and put yourself in like a good place to where you're not taking advantage of, but most importantly, that you're creating wealth and generational wealth, because it's not just for you, even though that's important, but for the families, assuming that you have family, or for those that are coming behind you, or even if you don't have any families. I mean, just being financially educated puts you in a position to where you can live your life to the fullest without having to wake up every day and go to a job that you hate, go or work for a boss that you can't tolerate, or that is inconsiderate. I mean, it's just having that financial education, and not just having the education, but working on it is just absolutely important. And if I could speak about this, let's speak about our community, the African diaspora community. That is just something that I'm not sure how prevalent it is in our community, because most of these times when we watch these shows, people are talking about politics, people are talking about gossip, people are talking about all kind of other stuff. It is very rare that you hear people talk about financial education, but yet everything that we do has to do with finances, all the issues that are going on back home. I mean, if we had the proper finance, and assuming people aren't corrupt, those issues could be taken care of. If you're working at a job that you don't like, and you're financially stable, you have the options to go ahead and do a lot of things. Or if you're financially stable, you don't go to the dealership and get ripped off. So this is something that lies within our community, and it lies within what we do every day on a daily basis. So this is just not something that you do one day and then you forget. This is something that is so important. And regrettably, our education system now, they don't teach finance in school. They're not teaching you, well, not like in like a vast amount of public schools. Maybe they're doing private schools, but in like the public schools we went to, they were not teaching us about investing. They were not teaching us about stocks. They were not teaching us about 501ks and Roth IRAs. They were not teaching us about none of these things. And then when we get out and we compare ourselves to a student or to a person who's been brought up, we realize that while we're still on first base, they're on third base, so that, and now we spend our whole life trying to catch or fill that gap. Whereas if you were financially educated from a very early age, this is something that follows you all along.
Yeah.
And then now also too, just to add to that point, Chief, as you know, that most people tend to associate themselves with people that are very similar to them.
Yeah.
So if you are not financially educated and you hang around with a bunch of guys that are not financially educated, guess what? There's going to be nobody there, to provide that ladder to help you all move up. But if you have that financial education now, you could be the one that tell your guys, hey, instead of popping bottles at $500 a pop every Friday night, you could take that $500 and buy a share of Google, and buy a share of Microsoft, buy a share of this, buy a share of that. And in 10 years from now, you'll be in a whole lot better place than just on one night of pleasure.
That's true. That's true. Absolutely. I agree with you 100%. So somebody has shoot me another question on the topic that we are discussing tonight. And, being somebody who been in the industry for over 10 years, imagine that you have that vast experience. Somebody told me, have sent me the question saying, what are some of the common, financial management mistake to avoid? Because, there is a survey that, that is done in an African American setting, right? They notice that most African American, over time, they don't really invest wisely and they don't save wisely. So as they get older, sometimes they lack financial means or so. So what are some of the common money management mistakes to avoid?
Well, that's a very good question there. And as you know, these are mistakes that we have all made. We have all made. And the very first one I'll start with, and this has to do more with behavior than it has to do with the actual money itself, is not paying yourself first. And what do I mean by that? Whenever we get our checks or whatever, whether it be on a weekly, bi-weekly, or on a monthly basis, whenever we get that money coming in or whatever it is that we do, we are concerned about paying our bills, which is important. And like a lot of us have like a budget aside for people, for like folks that are back home, folks that are calling us, for folks that are asking. So we concern ourselves with all these other things, but we fail to do the very first thing that I think we want you to do, and that is pay yourself first. And of course, if you're a person that go to church, 10% of everything that comes in is for the Lord. So like your tithe, you put that aside. But then maybe, as you have all these budgets, you should also have something for yourself too. Every paychecks that come in, I'm going to invest 10%. I'm going to invest 15%. This is going to go into my IRA. This is going to go into my personal account. This is going to go into into like a high yield savings. Just having something set up for yourself is so important. And it is not the amount that is important, even though it is, but it's just the habit of getting into that mindset of preserving something, and that will help you get stable down the line is absolutely critical. Because if you start saving, let's say you start saving, and actually there was a good example that came out there, that let's say you want to retire at the age of 65. Right. And you say at the age of 65, I'm going to want $1 million. And that's your investment goal. I'm going to have $1 million. And this doesn't matter what happened with my job, with my pension, it doesn't matter. But I'm starting from zero today. And by the age of 65, I want to have $1 million. Even though by the time you reach 65, $1 million is not going to be what it is today, but let's just use that as your goal. Yeah. If you started at the age of 25, all you have to do every month is put in $119 to reach that goal. Every month you put in $119. But if you don't start at 25 and you just wait, and then you wait 10 years later, now at the age of 35, you now have to put in $500 every month to get that same amount. Yeah, but now let's say you don't do it at 35 and you wait until you're 45 years old. Now you have to put in 1,500
Yeah.
every month to reach that goal. And now, but here's the funny part. Let's say you don't do it at 45, you do it at 55. Now you have to put in $11,750 to reach that goal. So you see how what happens. Started from $119, which is very achievable. But as time goes along, you are missing out on the eighth wonder of the world, which is the compounding interest.
Yeah.
The earlier you start taking care of yourself, you allow your money to build up. And this is where like rich people, this is where they say like the rich people get richer and like the poor get poorer or stay the same, because rich people have their money making money for them. Yeah. And this is a topic that we're going to get in earlier once we start talking about stocks and dividends and so forth. But you start to have your money make money for you. So you're not even working anymore. Just the money you have in your investment or like have in your high yield savings is earning that compound interest. And guess what? It compounds daily.
Yeah.
You know, it compounds daily. So that adds up too. Yeah. So I would say that's the first mistake that we make is we don't start investing or we don't start saving early. We have a lot of stuff that goes on. And I'm not trying to say that everyone have like disposable income to where you just take money and put it in there. But you should put yourself on your checklist that I'm going to take care of my light bill. I'm going to take care of this. I'm going to take care of my church. But guess what? I'm going to take care of Isaac. I'm going to take care of Rocky. I'm going to take care of, make yourself a priority too. So that would be the very first one. And the second one too, that I would say we make, and this is something that people really make when they are younger. And that is, you spend money you don't have to try to impress other people. You're 22 years old and you're working at Walmart. Yeah, you go buy a $60,000 BMW. Yeah. Come on now. What is the point in doing that? Yeah. You can't afford this car. It doesn't serve the purpose. It serves the same purpose as a utility vehicle. Maybe a Corolla would have served. Yeah. But instead you go and you spend way out of your league just to impress some people. Yep. And this is going to be a big mistake, and that as you're going to find out. So now let's just say your BMW or whatever it is costs you $750 a month, whereas a Corolla would have cost you $350 a month. The difference between that is $400. And now let's go back to that $1 million example we were just talking about. There goes your difference right there. Yep. What would happen if you save $400 a month from now until you reach a certain age? You will put yourself in a lot better position. Or let's say you use that $400, to invest in education or to invest in something else that will better yourself versus trying to impress someone else who doesn't even have your time, but you're trying to use this to flex on them or make a point. And that's a huge mistake there too that we make. Yeah. And the third one there to kind of touch on this, I know on time is running out, but the third one there just to touch on this is really going into debt and not realizing the impact that debt is going to have on you. Yeah. I'm not one of those that's think that all credit cards are bad. As a matter of fact, there are some credit cards, and if you use them wisely, as I do, and as I'm sure you do as well, that is actually to your benefit. But the deal with that is you have to be making those payments on time. And by God, please do not just make your minimum payment. If you make your minimum payment, you're going to be paying that thing for the next 20 years. Yeah, because the whole point is the bank. If the bank is making 15-20% interest on you freely, do you think they want that to stop?
Yeah, APR.
Yeah, if somebody was giving you 20% free money, which if you think about it, that's what it is. Yeah, so the bank wants that to go on. So definitely don't go into debt for frivolous things. Let it be things that matter, things that are important to you, and then just be wise with that. And I think overall, you'll be in a better place in the long run.
Yeah, great conversation tonight. Somebody who might be watching the show, viewing the show via Facebook and YouTube, might fake themselves into the second mistake that you laid out, right? Mm-hmm. So somebody will ask this question: how much do I set aside for investment? How much do I set aside, knowing that I don't make much? I'm in the low income category. Let's look at that, right? And I have to pay my BGE, and I have to pay my rent. I have to do this. How much do you think is advisable, knowing that the person have all these things to cover it, right? and invest. That way you result for them in the long run.
Right, absolutely, absolutely, Chief. And actually, that's a good question, and that's why it is called personal finance,
Okay.
because you have to look at your personal situation.
Yeah.
Every single one watching this show tonight is in a different financial position,
Yeah.
and that's just a matter of fact. I mean, if you're like someone who's earning like like the high six figures and making $200,000 or $300,000 a year, your situation is completely different than someone who is who is not in that state that you're in. So
Yeah.
you have to take a look at what you can afford, and this is why it's personal. You know what your bills are, you know what your obligations are. So that's not really a question I could answer by putting a figure to it.
Yeah.
The best answer I could give to that would be just get something that is not going to put you in a position that is compromising.
Yeah.
So if all you could afford a month is $100 to put that aside, then put that aside. But at least you are getting started with something. The whole point or the whole goal is to do something that will change the outcome later on. So it is not so much the amount, even though, I mean, if you have the amount, you could go ahead and do that. But if you don't, then certainly don't do that. I mean, let's just say if someone has like a disposable income of $10,000 every month and that is disposable, I would say go ahead and like put all 10 and go ahead and put all 10 and put all $10,000 in, let that compound. And within the next 10 or 15 years, you're going to be a multi-millionaire, or you might even be a decamillionaire, those with at least 10 million plus, so that's how you want to look at it. But if you're dealing with like a smaller shovel, if you will, or if you're working out of a small bucket, then yeah, I mean, you have to address that to how it fits your specific needs, and not trying to, again, impress other people or keep up with somebody who's at a very different state.
Yeah.
But just do what is best for you. It is on personal finance. But the most important thing is to get started. Even if it is with $50 a month, just getting started. And like the beautiful thing about that is, as you build that pattern up, as you build up that habit, you'll see that amount is going to start growing and growing and growing. And within the next few years, you're going to take a look at it and you'll realize that you have something good sitting here, whether if it's in your investment account or if it's in your high yield savings account.
So what advice will you want to give out? Because I believe a lot of people on Facebook are viewing right now, right? What advice would you want to give somebody who said, how do I start budgeting if I have never done that before?
Oh, well, that's a beautiful thing now. We live in a
lot of people in this country work, and at the end of the day, by the time they work, all that money goes behind things. Some way, out of showing out, like you mentioned, in some of the mistake that we made, people want to show out and they just spend money in the night. I don't even regard about, in the long run, something might happen and you don't have money somewhere saved. So somebody who want to start investment, right? What is the advice, that they haven't done it before, but they want to start? What is the advice that you will give them so that they can start budgeting money for now?
Okay. So the question is how to budget or how to invest? Because there were two questions there.
The question here was, how do I start budgeting if I have never done that before?
Okay. All right, good. Okay, yes. Well, let's start with the budgeting, and then we could touch on the investment aspect of it. Yeah. Well, luckily now we're living at a time when knowledge is really plentiful. Yeah. If you go on the internet right now and you just Google budget platform or like budget buddy, you'll get so many free samples that come up. And these could be in like a Word format, PDF, or Excel. The one I use is the Excel format, and I just put in there, and all the formulas are like already built in, and that's how you could get started. But if you just go online now and just Google it, you will get like a sample budget, and you'll get like a complicated budget, and you could pick. I'm like the one that is best for you. But if the format is like what you want, then certainly, I mean, that is free for you to go online and get, and then just and then just take it from there. But your finances, so you will be the one that knows how much you have coming in and how much is going out, and then use that spreadsheet to kind of help you allocate where you want certain things to go at a certain time. Dave Ramsey was one of the guys that I used to listen to a lot, especially 10 years ago. I used to listen to Dave Ramsey a lot, and he says budgeting is like you taking control of your money. You telling your money where it goes instead of your money telling you where to go. Yes. So yeah. So like once you budget, it like really allows you, because sometimes like the paycheck comes in and you're like, man, it just came in yesterday and everything's gone.
Everything going, yeah.
Like, where did it go? Like, where did it go? What did I spend it on?
Us, just coming in, it just go like that, and you wonder, but I just got paid, but I don't even know where the money goes.
Exactly. But once you have a budget, like at least a budget is not going to stop it from going, but at least you know where it is going, because you're right. At least you know where it is going. So whenever you sit down and you take a look at it, you're like, okay, this is where it went. It went to this car payment. It went to that. And this is actually good, because once you budget everything, then you will know how much you have left for you to invest, how much you have left for you to save with, or in some cases, especially like in our situation, and we have folks back home calling us left and right to see how much you have to be, how much do I have left to be generous with, because you don't want to be so generous that you end up hurting yourself. And sometimes we do tend to kind of do that too, because we're so focused on helping our folks that we forget to help number one, which is yourself. So having a budget, it really kind of lays it out for you that, hey, okay, once I have this coming in, this is what's coming in, this is what's going out. And it also lets you take control of your money. But yes, by all means, please go online. There's a bunch of sample forms there. And I will actually go one step further. If you want for me to share my Excel spreadsheet with you, that is something I could do free of charge, and you could share it with that person that asked the question.
Okay, that sounds good too. Let me go into the comment section here. Someone said, great conversation. Thank you so much for that comment. And someone is asking a question here. What are some of the best strategies on individual, let's say an individual can implement to eliminate debts? So you want to elaborate on that question? Then we can proceed to the next question. They are saying, what are some best strategies an individual can implement to eliminate debt?
Okay, what are some of the best strategies? Okay, actually, when it comes to getting rid of your debt, there are two strategies. One is the snowball effect. Another one is called the avalanche effect. Yeah, you have the snowball and you have the avalanche. Dave Ramsey prefers the snowball.
Yeah,
I am again, goes back to personal. So I'm not going to go against Dave Ramsey here because maybe we have some Dave Ramsey followers that are watching this. So I'm not trying to start a fight with Dave Ramsey, because Dave's been doing this way before I was even born. So I'm not going to start a fight with Dave Ramsey. But you have the snowball and you have the avalanche. What is the snowball? The snowball is you getting rid of your smallest debt first.
Yeah.
Let's say you have 10, 15, 20. Hopefully you don't have 20 debts, but let's just assume you have about 4 or 5, and you start from the smallest to the highest account. So Dave Ramsey, or following the snowball, or following like a snowball effect, is you will pay the minimum on everything that you have. You don't want to miss any payments, because that's how you mess up your credit, and that create a whole nother mess for you. So you don't want to do that. So you pay a minimum on everything that you have, and then whatever you have left, you hit it very hard at the small one. Yeah. And then once you clear the small one, whatever is left over now from the payment you are making on the small one, you take that plus whatever you have left over, and then you hit the next one. So you continue to go with the smallest, and just like a snowball, it is rolling, and as the snowball rolls, it pick up more snow. And as you go down, it gets fast. Bigger until you get rid of your debt. So but that is one.
I got a point, though. So if we are focusing just on a small amount, say for instance, somebody who have 10 credit card, right? The credit card has passed the APR, the 0% APR. Now it has so many money on it, right? And then you look at your minimum payment is like for the smaller card is $35 minimum. Then you have 3,000 on. Let's assume that for the card you have up to 3,000 each. And the other card where you have the minimum that you mentioned that we should be able to focus on, pay the minimum of all the card, or focus on the smaller one, right? I think it goes to say that if you focus on the small one, which is good to clear out quick and then get on the big one, but you also have interest, a lot of interest that is being accrued from the bigger, a card. So I don't know. I think the both rules, balance itself depending on which area you find yourself. But I think it's a good advice to focus on the smaller one, depending on what you are capable of doing. But don't forget to miss the minimum payment of the month, because if you do that, obviously then you get yourself into more problem. Go ahead.
Right. No, absolutely. And actually, just to add to that, you were actually touching on the avalanche effect.
Yeah, avalanche.
You are touching on the avalanche, and of course, we're gonna get to that. But just to finish the point with the the snowball is, definitely pay the minimum on everything you have, assuming you're following like the I'm assuming like you're following this step where like you get rid of the small first, and then you move it on to like the middle one and so forth. Now, on the flip side of the of that debt or of clearing the debt is the avalanche. And what the avalanche is, you you go ahead and you pay the minimum, regardless of whatever you do, whether it is a snowball or is the avalanche. Always pay the minimum first. So once you pay the minimum, then to go with the avalanche, you take a look at the one that has the highest interest rate. Because you're right. I mean, so that's the one that you want to take a look at. And with the with the avalanche, you take the one with the highest interest rate. Because if you have the small one and that is only a 5% interest rate, and then you have a big one, what you're paying a 29% interest on, mathematically it makes sense. To get rid of what is causing a 29% interest rate. Hopefully you don't have anything that is 29% interest rate, but people do. So then that is where with the avalanche, you start clearing the one with the highest interest rate, because mathematically that makes more sense to do so. So it is up to the person, which strategy do I want to choose? And again, it is all based on your personal situation, and also based on your habit. So if you want to clear this small, because if you have this huge avalanche that you're hitting very hard, it is going to take you maybe years to clear. But if you have the snowball, if you have the small one, and like you go with the snowball effect, you could clear that one in 6 months. And psychologically, you see yourself getting something done, because there's also that psychological effect of it. I had 10, now I only have 9, I only have 8. So you see yourself moving along. Whereas with the avalanche, you could be on that big one for 4 or 5 years. So do you clear this 4 or 5 years while paying the minimum on these, or do you clear the small ones and then focus on the big one? So it is really up to you. You could go with the snowball or with the avalanche. It's all up to see which one fits your personal situation.
I think the person who asked the first question said, "Thank you." I think the question was answered. Let's go to the next question here on our chat. They said, "What is the best advice for adults who want to roll over their money from their old company 401k to a new company?" I think this one is very simple, but anyway, go ahead. It's a question we have to address as we just talk about these finances. So they are asking, what is the best advice for adults who want to roll over their 401k from the old company to a new company? Go ahead.
Well, that is a good question, and as you said, it is fairly easy to do. But the question that person has to ask themselves is, it is not necessary to roll that over. You could keep that with your old company if you want to. Like when I got out the military, I first went to work for the state of Texas.
I said one thing: is it possible to have 2 401k?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. It absolutely is. As a matter of fact, you could have multiple.
That's the reason behind the question. So go ahead.
Yeah, no, absolutely. No, it is very possible, because your 401k is with your employer. Not unless you go get one on your own, which of course, you could go to Vanguard, to Fidelity, and like open one tomorrow if you want. But most 401ks are with your.
The 401k is always a paid deduction, right?
Yes.
So, given that you left this particular job, I think that this is the question. Given that you left this particular job and you no longer work to the job, because I'm not sure whether apart from leaving the job, you can still pay toward that contribution. Is that possible too?
No, you cannot, because no, you cannot. But just because
Now that you have different job, now that you have the second job, the new job rather, you no longer work at the old area. So that's a question. Are you going to roll over so that you can maintain that deduction so that you can build that for 1K? That's what the question. Because
actually, and I know, but I mean, that is a two-part question.
Okay, go ahead.
Number one, if you want to roll it over, you could do that. Just go to your HR office and they will roll it over for you. Especially, I mean, now it's so easy. You just sign the paperwork and they do all of that online. Or, you don't even have to worry about it anymore. They do all of that online for you. But the question to ask yourself, and this is what I was getting at, is you don't have to necessarily roll that over. You could keep that there and that money is going to keep compounding. And when you retire, you could get that money back. But if you don't want to have to deal with multiple, you don't want to deal with this here or deal with over there, then you could absolutely go ahead and like roll it over. Yeah. And actually it is best to roll it over. That way you don't pay taxes on it. Because if you take it out, it is you as a withdrawal.
You're gonna pay.
Exactly. You're gonna pay tax. You're gonna pay taxes on that. So the best thing to do is to have that roll over, so you don't pay any taxes on it. Especially if it is a huge amount, you don't want to pay those taxes on it. So you can have it roll over to your next employer, and whatever that employer matches, is still gonna be going to that amount. So that is money that you have earned. So you're not gonna lose it. But the point I was trying to get across there is you don't necessarily have to take it out. Okay. You could leave it with your old employer. It is still your money and still keep, stock of it. But if you want to just deal with one person or just deal with one firm, just go ahead and just have that roll over. But please don't withdraw it and then go to your old place to try to deposit it, because the tax in between is like going to hit you up. And by all means you want to save your money, so please don't withdraw if you don't need it. Just have a rollover, so like you save on taxes.
Okay, so we have another question here, but we want to take a break because we are here for just an hour, and we come back to that question. Someone is asking here. We're going to come back to that question. But to our viewer out there, thank you for tuning in. This is the Rahim Show, and I'm your host, Ricky Ali. I have a special guest in studio today, my friend and brother, Ase Kato. He's a financial expert. He's been in the industry for over 10 years, and he has great experience. And he also have two masters, one in finance and one in public policy. So we're going to come back. Let's take a break, Ase, so we can get ourselves ready for the second part of our discussion. So we'll come back to your question. For some of you who are viewing the show via Facebook and YouTube, keep sending your comment, keep posting your question. We'll address your question in this area because we want you to manage your money wisely. This is why the expert is here to address all your concerns. So let's take a break. When we get back, and we will continue our conversation.
Keep the vibe. 25. Hustle. Gotta get the money. Just the end of the struggle. For better tomorrow.
Forget all the stress, just put in the work. Any day you put in this work you can get. Don't sit and regret, just fight for yourself. Cause life is a battle, we all gotta fight. Everyone is blessed, if only you sweat. Put effort and time, you will get all the best. It's so good to flex, but no one to flex. Don't use all your matter, you take time to get. Encourage yourself, there's no need to beg. The rich man you see today fight for yourself. Focus on your left, to win all the press. Better days ahead, never quit on yourself. Nothing for nothing, push forward with strength. Struggle will come, but you just have to stand. I like a man, keep on hustling with sense. Learn from mistake, always focus and plan. Use what you have, do the best that you can. Work to the end, what you put you must earn. Prepare and learn, success right in your hands. Use all your chance, at the end you will dance.
Hustle, gotta get the money. Just the end of the struggle. For better tomorrow. Yeah, hustle. Fight to get the money, just to end of the struggle. For better tomorrow, ooh, yeah, hustle. Fight to get the money, just to end of the struggle. For better tomorrow, ooh, yeah, hustle.
Okay, folks, welcome back to the Rahim Show. I'm your host, Ricky Ali, and I'm being joined by our special guest, Mr. Ase Kato. For some of you who just followed the show right now, he's a financial expert. He has 10 years of experience in finance and investing, so he's here to answer all of your questions. We're going to go to the next comment here that somebody asked. So that keep sending your comment. We will address all your concern in the finance area, how well you want to manage money, what are some of the advice you need from the expert here. He has over 10 years of experience. He has a master degree in finance and also a master degree in public policy. It tells you that he's very equipped with the subject matter. So let's go to the next question here because I said we don't have much time here. The next question the person asked, what are some basic factors to consider when choosing an investment brokerage as a first-time investor, Mr. Kato?
Okay. Well, that's good. And actually, during the break, I got some advice that I should get straight to the point and not talk so much. So let me go ahead.
You do well, man. You do well, man.
So let me go ahead and get straight to the point. Again, as a first-time investor, and actually, this is why it is so kind of good that we are now where we are. Because when I first started this, even though I've been doing this for 10 years, but I actually opened my first account back in 2008, just maybe trying to date myself here, but back in 2008, and I opened my account during the financial crisis. If anybody remembers that time, everything was going crazy all over the place. And that's when I opened my account. And back then, things were not as easy as they are now. You have to go through a broker, you have to call them or go online. And then you also had to pay for it. Yeah. You have to pay to buy stocks or to sell them. Luckily, there are so many options out there now that you don't do that anymore. But for a first-time investor, and I'm assuming a first-time investor is somebody who doesn't have a very high, it doesn't have a portfolio in the millions. So for a first-time investor, now there's so many options out there for you. Of course, you have the big boys, you have your Vanguard, your Fidelities, and you have your Goldman Sachs. You have all those big boys that have been around for centuries or decades. But if you're just getting started now, the platform I would recommend is Robinhood. And that platform is so easy to use, and it is basic, and it is not complicated. And all the stocks that are found on the big boys, all these same stocks are found here too. So that would be a one I would recommend. Or for those that are in college, I would recommend SoFi, because you already got your student loan through them. So if you already got something open with them, you could just go ahead and invest with them too, since you're already there. And that's a pretty easy one too. It is very user friendly, and there are some others as well. But what I would take into account would be the fees. But now all of them have gone away with the fees. So it all depends on how much you have. But if you're just getting started, I'll go with an easy platform like Robinhood or SoFi. But the Fidelities and the Fidelities and the Vanguards are not bad. But one that is user friendly and has been around for a long time is E-Trade. So that's a good one there too to use as well. But definitely take into account what the fees are, especially if you're going to pay somebody. Given everything that we have now, I won't recommend paying anybody because there's so much information out there, and this is a do-it-yourself thing. So I won't pay anybody. I won't go pay a broker or somebody else. Yeah, because there's just so much information out there now versus when I got started doing this back in 2008, and that was it was a lot harder back then. Or let's just say it is not as easy as it is now.
Okay. Yeah. Another person who raised another question when we posted that flyer asked this question, said, how can I effectively manage since we are talking about having a financial expert who have over 10 years of experience, how can I manage, how can I effectively rather manage my finances and invest wisely? Somebody want to know how can they manage what they have and then be able to choose some sort of investment so that they can be able to put money there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think the first one earlier. So let me take the second one now, and that is how can I invest wisely? Well, a lot of people are afraid to invest because they think they're going to lose their money, especially if you've been around for a while and like you went through like the financial crisis and all of that, and then also too if you were in the if you were in a market when like COVID hit,
Yeah.
you like watch your portfolio drop by 30%. I'm like within a matter of weeks. So you keep watching your portfolio that used to have like millions of dollars in it, and now you're no longer like a millionaire. So people are like, I would rather just keep my money like under my mattress and so forth.
Yeah.
But in the long run, in the long run, and this is a fact I'm going to give out here. In the long run, the stock market has always been the best investment when
Yeah.
you compare it to even real estate. A lot of people think real estate is a better investment than the stock market, but it is not. If you look at the numbers, whether to invest in real estate or whether to invest in the stock market, assuming you're choosing, like the right stocks, or you're not going out there and buying some like stocks that are very bad, or what are they called? Penny stocks. You're not buying some penny stocks or just gambling away. But if you actually do your due diligence, and you go out there and like you buy some good stocks, in the long run, the stock market that's actually done better than real estate. So that's why I prefer the stock market, because it is easier. And I'm saying this as someone who used to own real estate. Back when I was in Houston, like my wife and I, we had some investment properties.
Okay.
And of course, I got a bad experience from there because I had to deal with a crazy tenant that I ended up evicting, and at night and pipes break, and you have to deal with this, you have to deal with that. So real estate has some benefits as well. But I just think investing in the stock market is a whole lot easier. And if you look at it, if you go back 10, 20, 30, 40, even 50 years, and you watch those assets and see the appreciation, you'll see that real estate has appreciated more. You'll see that on stock has appreciated more than your real estate has. Even with the volatility in the stock, it goes up, it goes down, it goes up, and it goes down. But if you allow that to compound in the long run, you'll be better off for it. Yeah, and if you're someone who don't want to like pick stocks because you don't know which one to pick, then just go out there and get an index fund. You could go out there, you could get an index fund, you could go out there and get like a mutual fund, and just make sure it is one that has like low fees. I actually prefer like the ETF better, and just get like an index fund, and then you will be better off in the long run. And if we have some time, I could recommend not recommend, but I could tell you some of the index funds that I have, also some of the ETFs that have done well for me, and then just for folks to take a look at as well. Yeah. But I prefer stocks than I do real estate, and I'm saying this as someone who has actually owned both. So I'm speaking from personal experience as well.
So I know we're running out of time here, but we want to address this question about somebody who is saying they're very bad in saving money. They have a bad habit in saving money, and it's so good that we are having this particular show tonight, and they are viewing on Facebook. So they just sent me a question. What action do I need to take to save money? Because I'm very bad at saving. So what would be your advice to such a person who's saying that they are very bad at saving money, but yet they have been tuned in to watching the show right now on Facebook or YouTube, and they just shoot out this question to me, say that I should ask the expert, what advice will you give them to be able to what action do you think they can take to help them save money? Because they are very bad at saving money.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's a good question, and actually, I'm actually glad that person has taken taking like the first step, and that is realizing that they are bad with it, because you cannot address the problem unless you admit that you have a problem. So, first, I want to commend that person for asking that question and realizing that they have a bad habit. So now, what do you do when you have a bad habit? Is you try to stop that bad habit. And by watching this show and getting some financial education, because you don't know a habit is bad unless you have something to compare it to.
compared to
So now, just by realizing this and getting some financial education, I think that's the way to go about breaking that, is to financially educate themselves and just go online. There's a free calculator online. It is called the investment calculator.
investment
So
calculator.
out right, it's called the investment calculator, and it is absolutely free. You just go online and then just put in whatever it is that you think that you're spending frivolously. Let's just assume it's $300. Let's say I'm always, whenever I get my money in, I'm always wasting $300. Put that $300 in, and then you say, okay, what will happen if I don't waste this $300, but instead invested this $300, earning anywhere between 8 to 12%, because that's the average interest rate. I mean, that's the average return on your investment if you were to put it like in like an ETF, or just again put it like in like an index fund. That's the average, and see what will happen in the next 8, 10, or 15 years. Instead of wasting this $300, what will happen if I were to save this or invest this amount? And when you see that total amount come out, just the realization on how much you're throwing away, that will definitely get you to see things differently and put things in priority. So maybe once you look at all the numbers, you'll come to a realization that there's a lot of better things or better ways or options to like spend your money. So that will be what I would tell that person. Thanks for realizing that you have the mistake. Now let's get some financial education about it. And again, just start doing something about it. So maybe you don't save all $300. Maybe you just save $150. But at least once you get in that habit, it builds up, and it will hopefully help change that habit.
Yeah, that's a good point. To that other question, I think the person has just sent me a message here on our platform. They just sent me a message that said, "Thank you for such a great advice." He said, as you mentioned, some of the different investment options. What is it? Can you give me several investment options that I will take advantage of? That's what the person is saying right here on the text. They're sending a message on our, as we have this show live. So what are some of the investment options? I think you mentioned two, but I want several investment options that I can be able to take advantage of.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, certainly. Well, certainly I could do that. You're right. There's a lot of options that are available. And now I'm assuming this person wants to. I don't know their age, and like I don't know what their goals are, but I'm assuming this person just wants to get in. So what I would do, just getting in, or I guess like a way to maybe change that is, Isaac, how would you invest? How would you invest your first $10,000? Or how would you? Let's assume if I give you $10,000 now, how would you invest it? Well, if I had $10,000 now, the first thing I would do is I would not buy individual stocks. I will buy 4 ETFs, and ETFs are exchange traded funds.
Okay.
And within these exchange traded funds, you have, it is like buckets, and like within these buckets, you have your Microsoft, your Tesla, your Google, your Nvidia, your Facebook, Meta, your Home Depot, your Lowe's. You have all of these in these buckets. So the first bucket I will buy, and I will actually split them up into 25%. So that's 2,500 each. The first one I will buy is, I will go ahead and I will buy the VOO. That is the Vanguard S&P 500. And like the Spider also have one too, which is the SPY. But I think the Vanguard interest, but I think the Vanguard fee may be like a little lower than that. But I just prefer Vanguard because that's what I started with. So I will put 25% into the Vanguard, and then I'll put another 20. And by the way, by putting into like the VOO automatically diversify you into the top 500 U.S. companies. So just by putting 2,500 there, you're automatically diversify into 500 different companies. So that's the way to go about it. And the second one I would buy would be the NASDAQ QQQ. And these are the top 100 NASDAQ funds. And these are mostly focused on technology. It is a little volatile than the VOO, which is the S&P 500. But as you all know, tech moves faster than anything else in the market. So that's so that would be the way I would go about that. And then the next one I would buy would be the SCHD. and the SCHD is the Schwab High Dividends Fund. So I'm now going into some dividend stocks. So I'm looking at my Johnson and Johnson. I'm looking at my Costco. I'm looking at my Procter and Gamble. I'm looking at my Colgate. So I'm putting 25% into that bucket. So I have a technology bucket, I have an overall bucket, and now I have a dividend. I have a dividends bucket, and it's covering me in there. And then the last one I would buy, and this is one I actually own, and that would be the which one? Oh, and that would be the SMR. I mean, that would be the SMH. And the SMH is the semiconductor ETF. And that one has a lot of volatility, but it has outperformed the three that I just recommended. So I have three that are safe, and then I have one that swings up and down, but in the long run, this one has our return this 75%. So I have 75% in stable, slow moving things that allow me to sleep at night. But then I also have this 25% that swings up and down. But I have this 75% here to like a balance it. So those would be the 4 ETFs that I'll buy. And by doing so, I have my diversity. I mean, I have my diversification, but I also have some growth and some dividends that goes with that. And then once I buy these ETFs, the most important thing about that is I have started in the market. So now I'm going to start seeing some results. And then I'll start doing some research. And then once I get comfortable, I'll just buy maybe 5 single stocks. And the 5 single stocks that I own now, or like my 5 biggest position, I have Tesla, I have NVIDIA, I have Microsoft, I have Google, and then I also have Costco. Those are the 5 that I own, and they have served me very well during both good and bad times.
Thank you very much. We have several questions here. I know because of time, but we're going to answer this question. Somebody is asking here, what is your view on investing in crypto and Bitcoin rather at this moment? You want to
at this moment? Well, the thing I would tell that person is, let's get back in the time machine and go back in 2009 and buy Bitcoin. And now we'll all be retired. Yeah, man. Because if you would have invested just $100 in Bitcoin back in 2009, you'll have enough money now to cover everybody. Yeah. Yeah, but since we can't go back to 2009, my view of it now, I'm actually one of those guys that's actually very, very high on Bitcoin. I didn't get into Bitcoin until 2019. I wish I had gotten in sooner. I actually didn't find out about Bitcoin until 2017 when it had that huge run. And then of course it actually had that huge run, and then it dropped down back down to 5,000, and that was the time I was trying to get in like a little bit. I'm very, very high on Bitcoin now. As a matter of fact, I'm not a Bitcoin maximalist, because there's some people that just think everything else is crap and just Bitcoin. But I'm very high on Bitcoin, but I will mix that up with some Ethereum. Maybe you go 50, or maybe you go 60, or 75, 25. 75 in Bitcoin and 25 in Ethereum. I think those are the two most promising. But then you have your Cardano. That's a good one as well. Your Solana, that's a good one as well. And one that I wouldn't recommend this for anybody, but one that made me some pretty good money during the 2020 to 2021 was Dogecoin. I put about $2,000 into that thing, and the return was absolutely crazy. But that would not be one that I would touch right now, because that was just straight up gambling, and I just got lucky. But if you're thinking about Bitcoin, I think Bitcoin, especially with Trump being elected, because he is very pro crypto, I think I'm positive. Of course, I don't have like a crystal ball, but I'm pretty confident that if you were to go into Bitcoin and then maybe even dibble into Ethereum a little bit, you're gonna be in like a good position. But right now, that's my composition. I don't have anything else besides Bitcoin and Ethereum. Those are the two that I have, and I'm heavily leaning into Bitcoin because I do believe that it is going to be a good asset to own, like in the long run.
Okay, great composition there. Let answer this question. I mean, so many questions here people are sending. right now. It said based on your experience or financial experience rather, is gold and bonds higher on an investment pyramid versus stocks?
Not for me, no. For me, no. I mean, and what I base this on. I mean, bonds somewhat because you want that stability, especially if you're like an older person. But
Yeah.
you could just as simply take that same amount and go and buy some T-bills or go and buy some treasury notes, which is very easy to do. Just go on like the treasury websites and you could buy some T-bills. But in my investment style, and I'm just speaking for me here, so this is not like a financial advice, but I don't mess with gold because if you look at the return, go look at the return. Take any 10 years, look at the return on gold, look at a return on stocks, and look at the return. Well, let's put on Bitcoin there too. Now, since I'm like, since we're talking about Bitcoin, I think stocks and crypto are better options personally than gold because gold is there, and a lot of folks, especially a lot of older folks, that still I'm like that are thinking fondly of the 70s and 80s are like big on gold. But if you look at the returns, and this is not just what I'm saying, just go ahead and you could Google this tonight. Go look at the returns for gold. Take any, okay, let's just go back to 2000. Take any 10 years time period in that on 2000. Pick any 10 years time, even with the financial crisis. Include that in there and look at the return for gold and for stocks, and you'll see it is not even close. So if you have your money and you want to maximize that money, stocks are just a better option than going in gold. And even if you just buy like the index fund, just like the VOO that I spoke about earlier, that has our return gold. So why are you going after gold when you could get better returns with something else? And of course, with bonds, I'm not against it, but I just think if you want to go that route for like safety and to help you sleep better at night, I could think about making that like a part of your portfolio. But I think you will be just as effective with some dividend stocks. I mean, like at least you're getting something back every quarter or like every month. So that would be how I would do it. But personally, I'm not big on gold or I'm not big on bond. You will have some advisors that would like try to sell that to you, but that's just not what I do.
Yeah, somebody just said, "Love your honesty," which is good. So many questions here being asked. We cannot go, into all these questions because our time is fast spent. But I think we need to set up another part two of this exciting conversation so that we can get back here and be able to respond to all these, financial questions. So I think it's past 10:30. We were only here for an hour. We want to say to our viewer out there, thanks for tuning in. This is a Rahim Show, and I'm your host, Ricky Ali. And to our special guest, the financial expert, I learned a lot tonight. I think I just have one or two investment. I think I'm going to add on more. I'm going to increase my investment because a lot of things were taught on, touch base tonight, and I think these are all, important, matrices, education when it comes to the financial aspect that we need to help us so that we can be able to put the money somewhere for our own future. So I want to say on behalf of the Rahim Show, thanks for, taking on our invitation and coming here to be able to educate us on financing and investing. We will plan, another segment of our show to have you come here and, just spend time and explaining this because so many questions here. I don't want to go through all these questions because there are so much question here. Someone is saying, thanks, Mr. Koto and Mr. Ali. You guys have a great time. And I love the conversation and discussion. Thank you so much for your comment. For some of you who are watching this show via Facebook and YouTube, you might want to make some comment, share the podcast. We would highly appreciate your comment, your like, your by sharing the podcast. We highly appreciate that. So, folks, I think we have come to the end, but I also want to Mr. Kato to be able to share his parting statement. For some people who might be viewing right now and they want to know what is your advice as you talk about financing and investment. What is your advice as you leave what would be advised to people out there so that they can be able to see how best to avoid some of these mistakes and try to manage money effectively?
Okay. Well, Ricky, well, first, thanks for the invitation, and I don't mind coming back again for a second time. And actually, I have done this on some other platforms before, so thanks for the invitation to come out here and also to do this on your platform as well. This is something that I enjoy doing to share my knowledge. I do it absolutely 100% free. I don't get paid at all. I just love to share my knowledge with all people out there because I mean, financial education. Before I became financially free, I thought it was impossible to do until you get started. You know, like the saying goes, I'm like the best time to have invested was on 10 years ago, and and like the second best time is now.
Now, yeah.
Yeah, so go ahead and get started now with something, anything. You know, the most important thing is to get started. And now there's so much out there as far as information is concerned, and there's really no need where you can get started. And for those that have children, I mean, definitely take advantage of the 529. The 529 education plan. That was not something that like we touch on. But if you have children, take advantage of the 529 education plan. And if your child is very smart and they get a full ride scholarship, well, guess what? You just saved a bunch of money that you could use on something else. But if you're going to use that for school, have that 521 plan. Or if you want to go with the healthcare, I mean, like the HSA, take advantage of that. Take advantage of your employer's matching. Don't leave free money on the table. You know, get a 401k. So there's just a lot of stuff out there. I think people don't take advantage of it. Simply because they don't know. If you don't know, you don't know. Like, for example, I mean, I was in the market back then when like Bitcoin came about, but I didn't know anything about Bitcoin. Yeah. If I had known about Bitcoin, Ricky, I'm not sure if we'd be having this conversation from my home tonight. We'll probably be having this conversation from my yacht. Yep. Because but you know what, of course, you don't know what you don't know. Yeah. But now that you have the knowledge, I mean, just please get started, take advantage of it, and get your children involved with it. You know, financial education is such a key thing. And it is amazing what other that are outside our community knows that we don't know, you know. And when we look at the Jewish families and all these other families, all these other groups that do so well, why do they do so well? Because of financial education, knowledge that has been denied to us. And the Bible said, my people perish because of lack of knowledge. And it is that same knowledge here that we're having now. And luckily, we are in a country or at a place where we have the opportunity to take advantage of that. So that would be my advice. Just go ahead and get started, even if it is with just a high, even if it's just a high yield savings account. Take advantage of that, but get involved with some kind of investing. I was not a big fan of real estate because I got burned. But if that is your thing, take advantage of that. The most important thing is just get started doing something, and I think you will be better off in it. I'm like in the long run forward.
Yeah, great composition. We're hoping that you will be back. We'll set another segment about one-on-one discussion, but some kind of question you draw my attention. Somebody said during your explanation, you mentioned about sharing some SL document and also sharing. Is it possible that during your next section, you will be able to do a slides of this, sharing so that we can be able to take advantage of? Somebody saying that you want to comment to that, please.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, the next time I come here, I'm pretty sure like your platform has an opportunity to like share screens. So the next time, So the next time I come up here, if that is something like you want me to do, just let me know, and I could have my Excel spreadsheet ready. I could have some stocks that I'm currently in ready. I could have more information about Bitcoin. Hopefully, when I come back, Bitcoin has passed $100,000. Because I'll be a very happy man when it does. But hopefully the next time I'm back here, we could have some of those conversations, and I would definitely be more than happy to like share what I have. This is what I love doing. I love sharing financial education. So absolutely.
So, okay, that was a great thing. Great time with you, Mr. Koto. We will now, let you leave as we, had a great time with you here. So thanks for the opportunity. coming here to share your perspective on finances and investing. So we want to say thank you. You're most welcome to come back. We're going to set another meeting where we invite you to come and answer most of these questions that people are asking here. So until then, we want to say have a good night.
All right. Thank you, Ricky. I appreciate it.
Thank you. Okay, folks. Well, folks, thank you, all of you who contributed and some of you who asked a lot of brilliant questions. I want to say thank you for taking up your time to be a part of our show. You see on the far right hand corner of our screen here, you see you can also make a donation to this platform to just keep alive. We come here and discuss things that are very important, very educated, very important to our society at large. And also we discuss things about our country, Mama Liberia, because we want to see a better Liberia as well. So today happened to be that we have the expert, financial expert himself here to share his perspective on how we can manage money effectively and efficiently, and also find some investment option, put small money down so that when you get old, you can be able to have something at least saved for yourself. So that was a great conversation with Mr. Ase Kato, and we are hoping that we'll set another meeting so that he can come out here and also give more information regarding these literacy education. So until then, folks, we want to say good night. Thanks for also following the show. For some of you who support our show, thank you for your support. We want to appreciate all your support. And we have a cash out donation here. If you want to send of anything, it is not something that we are asking you, that we, begging you, but it's just something that if God lay on your heart to support our platform, there is a cash out here. And if you don't have a cash out and you want to, support somehow through Zelle, just, reach out to me, through my Facebook account, and I will send you my phone number so that you can be able to support us. But it's not mandatory. Let me make that clear. And that's something that we are in a cohesion of, asking, forcing people. Just something where God lay on your heart. If you want to be a support to this platform, we highly appreciate that. Until then, folks, we want to say good night. Keep following our show, and may God bless us all. Good night to every one of you. See you next time.